Hi everyone, welcome to Art Time with Melissa. Today we're going to make a stuffy. You could make a cute little fox, you could make a ferocious tiger, you could make a cute little teddy bear. It's all up to you. Let's jump right into it. So the first step is to take just a normal piece of paper and draw what you want your stuffy to look like. This one I wanted to be a bear, so I did an oval with 4 little ovals for legs and arms, a circle for the head, and some half circles for ears, and I cut out the whole shape. This is great for when you're starting to make your first stuffy and you don't want to cut and sew this and cut and sew this part and cut and sew this part. It'd be a lot of work. Then I traced it onto my cloth twice so that I'd have both parts so that I can stuff the inside. I already cut out one, but I'll cut out the other while we hang out. So I'm using some pretty good scissors for this. If you're using some little scissors or scissors that are a little dull, it might be harder to cut the cloth. In that case, try and focus on using the back of your scissors that's closest to that little dot. There's usually a little circle at the end. That's because that's where the lever is, and it'll be really stronger for cutting near that area. So using that back will definitely help you out if it's a little tricky. And you just use slow, careful snips and be a little patient, and you'll get it cut out. There's also such thing as fabric scissors, and I love having a good pair of fabric scissors at home. The trick is, if you ever buy a pair of fabric scissors, they're not for anything else. You don't use them on anything. Not on paper, not on pipe cleaners. They're only for fabric so that they still work beautifully on fabric every time you come back. Awesome. So now I have 2 bears cut out. I sometimes use chalk to draw so I can just wipe it off, but this time I used marker. So I'm going to make sure that part is on the, not on the front. Actually, let's see, how do I want to do this? How do they fit best together? Because sometimes when you free draw something, it only fits right one way. Oh, yep, it fits best this way. That's okay though, because I'll have one side that's perfectly clean. So I'm going to show you how to make your needle now. You want to take your thread, and I want you to grab a piece as long as both of your arms all the way stretched out. That way when we fold in half, it'll be as long as one of your arms going all the way out. Safety with needles, they should never be near anyone's face. So wherever you're sitting, make sure you don't have anyone right there on arm's length away, and make sure you're not pulling it ever towards your own face. So now I have it on the thread. I can take the end, wrap it around my finger, and put the little end of the string through and pull them to make a knot. Now I'm going to put a few of these knots right on top of each other so that it's nice and big, so that it's less likely to go through. So now what I'm going to do is take the needle, and I'm going to put the needle inside of both layers for the first one. That way the knot will be inside my bear, and I can just cut off the ends from the string. Don't cut off the knot if it's too long, and I can just tuck the strings in to hide. Wonderful. Now, there's a couple different types of stitches that are really popular for things like this. There's the whip stitch and the running stitch. I'm going to show you a few stitches of the whip stitch, then I'll do the running stitch for the rest. Normally you just pick one and you do it the whole way, but not a big deal. So for the whip stitch, I'm always going to put my needle in the same area. So I'm going to pick that it's going to be under. So I'm always only going to put my needle under, and then I just pull it through. Then every time I put my needle in, under, 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 it'll wrap around. It's also very important to keep in mind to put your knots pretty close, or not knots, your stitches, very close together, because otherwise you'll have some of the fuzz sticking out when you're finished. We always make sure we're pulling it all the way, and you can see that it's wrapping around. Great. The other type of stitch is a running stitch. That's what I did on this one. And all it is, so right now the string's sticking out from here. I'm putting my needle right next to where the string's sticking out and pulling down. Ooh. Looks like I made, oh, there we go. Just gotta pull it a little tighter. And sometimes that happens. If you see a little loop, try pulling a little tighter, but don't tug too hard in case you made a mistake. So now the thread's sticking out up here, so I'm gonna put it right next to where it's sticking out. And pull. Now the string's sticking out of here, so I'm gonna put it right next to it. And pull. And you just keep going like that until you've gotten all the way around. As I'm working, I'm keeping an eye out for a couple things. One is whenever I only have an amount of string as long as my hand, that is when I need to tie a knot, because if I keep going, I won't have enough string to tie a knot. So I'm checking with every stitch and I'm thinking, how much string do I have left? Do I have the right amount? Another thing is making sure my stitches are tiny enough to make sure no fluff's going to come out. The other thing is I want to make sure I don't go far enough that I can't put fluff in. So I should always be able to stick in like 2 fingers. When two fingers I don't think they'll fit in very well, then I have to stop and I have to stick in my fluff. Alright, I'm going to spend a minute going around here, and we'll check back in when it's time for me to tie a knot. Alright, I wanted to check and let you know, so sometimes your string will get tangled like this. And one of the things I tend to do is I give it gentle pulls, and I'll also pull from the back to see if there was just something that got a little stuck. Just kind of play with it. Sometimes it helps to pull just like one string a little bit. Oh, look at that, it's already almost fixed. Boop, there we go. And sometimes that isn't even you, it's just that it's not the best thread. This is some cheap thread that I've had forever, so it's probably not the best quality. Sometimes cheap thread will get pulls and will get knotted a little bit. That's okay. And sometimes that's not your fault. And you know what? It's okay even when mistakes are your fault. I had a little stitch over here at the top that I wasn't paying attention, and I did a whip stitch instead of a running stitch when I'm trying to do a running stitch. And you know what? That's okay. We all make mistakes. It's not just students, it's your art teachers too. We are human beings. And you know what? Maybe that becomes a part of what makes it cute. Like you think about characters like Pooh Bear. And Pooh, Winnie the Pooh, you know, he's not perfect. He has some little stitches that go awry. He loses his stuffing sometimes, and that's okay. That adds to the cuteness. So if you make a mistake, maybe it becomes a part of the Stuffy's story. Don't feel like you have to be perfect to be a creative person. Over here, my little tiger I had made, I didn't mean for the sides to be all ruffly, but it's kind of endearing. I grabbed just a scrap of fabric. It had been used for it was a couch sample, so it was a sample of cloth that could be used to make a couch, and it fell apart. It was a little ruffly, and you know what? That's okay. It still works, and it makes him look kind of extra cute. Makes him look like he's way older than he is. So I'm at the part where my fingers are just barely gonna fit in, so it's time to stuff. Now you can use Polyfill. I ran out, so I'm going to use some cotton balls. So I'm just going to take the cotton and I'm going to squish it in, and I use my fingers to kind of push it where I want it to be. Honestly, should have stopped just a little earlier, but again, we're being okay with that. We are humans here. At least I'm a human. Are you a human? And we're allowed to just do our best. I'm gonna kind of just push it in, squish it around. Oh, I think I need a little bit of a thinner piece to get through the neck. Maybe I'll push that piece down. Maybe I'll grab just little bits to push through the neck. There we go. That I can push through to get the head stuffed. So if you grab too big a piece of stuffing, it might not do the job as well as you think. Sometimes it's better to use little pieces because you can always add more. All right. I like to really squish it in there so that you get as much of the nooks and crannies as possible. Doesn't have to be perfect, just as much as possible. Alright, I think I'm ready to keep sewing those last couple stitches. Almost there. And a little fluff bean sticking out the outside. You know, you try to get it all in, but it's okay to wipe away the last little bit at the end if you need to. Alright. And the last step is going to be tying the knot. So what you do for that is you stick the needle through, then you wrap the string around the needle twice, and you pull, 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 pull. So again, stick the needle through, wrap, wrap, pull through, then you can just cut off the extra, and that is it. You can draw on this or paint it or hot glue on things to make a cute little face, but that is the basics. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I can't wait to hear about your stuffed animal. Take care. See you next one. Bye.